Hello and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. Today we have Netflix 382nd film from 2021. It's the Thai ghost film called Ghost Lab. This is directed by Paween Purijitpanya and stars Thanapob Leertanakachorn, Intarakomalyasut, and Nuttanicha and Dungwattanawanich. I'm Jesse. I am your host. Apologies for the pronunciation of the names. Yes, I'm not. I don't speak Thai, so I really struggled there a little bit to put those together. But hopefully, I didn't cause too much harm. We are the Flix Forum podcast, where we obviously cover Netflix original films. And if this is an international film that you are interested in seeing, haven't seen it yet, a ghost story from Thailand, then give us a pause and come back a little bit later on, because we will spoil this film as we go through this show. We do start our show with the Fast Flicks, where we do a quick little summary of what the film is all about. So this one, to me, it's about two doctors/scientists who want to prove that ghosts or the paranormal exist. That's the gist of this film. That's where we're at. Other than that, there is very little to find out about this film. Sometimes we do see this with international films. So in Spanish, we'll talk about the translation. So in Spanish, it's called The Ghost Experiment. That makes sense. In Japanese, it's called Ghost Lab Forbidden Experiment. Yeah, not too bad. And in Russian, it's called Phantom Laboratory. Otherwise, around the world, it's literally called Ghost Lab. Netflix did announce on the 26th of April 2021 that they had acquired the exclusive global rights for this film. And this is also the first Netflix original film from Thailand. On top of that, this is also the first locally produced Thai film that uses Dolby Vision. There we go. So obviously, Netflix announced this on the 26th of April. It did hit Netflix a month later on the 26th of May 2021. It was filmed in Bangkok in Thailand. Interesting city if you've ever been to Bangkok. It's a hustle and the bustle of a big city in Asia, to be honest. So what are the critics and audiences saying about this film? On Rotten Tomatoes, this sits at 33%. That is rotten. That's only on 6 reviews, though. The audience, very similar, 34%. That is on less than 50 ratings. On IMDb, it sits at a 5.2 out of 10 on 1,800 ratings. So not many people have seen it there either. And Letterboxd, again, only a bit over 3,000 people have given it a rating, and it sits at a 2.4 out of 5 on that low end. And it's been logged by 4,300 people. So I would say not a lot of people have seen this film. What are my early thoughts on this one? It starts off almost as a horror comedy, and then horror, and then a drama, and then a melodrama, and it doesn't know what it wants to be, and it's all over the shop, and I was really frustrated with it. So I'm probably not going to have too many positive things to say about this one as we go. So as I said to you, this is probably going to be a pretty short episode. So let's talk about the characters. I'm only going to focus on the 3 main characters. So as I mentioned in the Fast Flicks, these are 2 friends. We've got Wee and Glass. So Wee, he is a bit of the nerdy guy. He wears the glasses, so that tells you he's a nerd. He's the one who studies and doesn't believe in anything other than things that are in a textbook, realistically. He works as a doctor with his best mate Glass that I mentioned before, and part of Wee studying to become a doctor or a scientist or whatever he is so that he can pay for his mother's care in the hospital that he works in, and his wage goes straight towards her being able to live there, I guess, and him spending as much time as possible with her. Not sure what she's got, what she's ill with, but she's in hospital and she's on her deathbed. So Glass, almost the complete opposite. He's an extrovert, he's outgoing. He's constantly trying to push Wee out of his shell, to date, to find women, and to also believe in the paranormal, I guess, and ghosts, because he's obsessed with the supernatural and proving their existence, and this is why he works at the hospital. He is happy in love with his girlfriend, Mai, and Mai is the last character we'll touch on. She's, as I said, Glass' girlfriend. She plays a big part in the end and allows Wee to reach his full crazy potential in this film, is a good way of putting it. All right, the director of this one, Paween Purijitpanya. 7 directing credits. Looks like 3 of them are like segments for anthology-type horror films, and some TV as well. So, yeah, obviously knows what they're doing with the camera. What did I like in this? What didn't I like? What are the things that stood out? So the things that are good, the opening shots sort of got you on board. They're in the hospital. The 2 guys are there with some nurses, and they're talking about this guy with burns, and you have these shots of this body with 3rd-degree burns and stuff. That was cool. It was a good opening. Sort of hooked you a little bit. The next thing that I was okay, he goes to the top of the building after waiting. So Glar has gone. Glar's crossed over. He hasn't heard from him. Part of their experiment was that Glar was going to kill himself, and then he would be able to communicate with Wee from the other side. And he hasn't communicated, so Wee goes to the top of the building to try and contact him, and he's ready to jump, and Glar's ghost or his spirit grabs his tie. It was a cool little effect. I thought that was cool. And then obviously, again, when Wee's trying to reach out to Glar, and he's worked out that if I create pain or anger, he appears, and he'd already tried this once to chop his finger off with a guillotine, and Glar had stepped in and saved him. And then at the end, Wee does it again, and Glar didn't stop him, so he chops his finger off. That was funny. Things that didn't work. This is a bit of a rant. So any scene with Glar and May together, just a cringe-worthy couple, and it was all rubbish. There was a line from her that was like, "When you're obsessed with your work, Glar, it's sexy." Come on, some poor dialogue. Any scientific rant by Wee or Glar about physics or science or anything like that, even when they use like the platypus as an example, just wasn't engaging dialogue. There's a moment where, this is the start when it's meant to be a comedy, Wee overstocks on food from the vending machine. There's some kind of joke. It was just lame, just didn't work. Glar takes Wee to his hideout, which is this old abandoned medical building that doesn't look old or abandoned at all. And to prove that it's abandoned, they have a couple of doves flying around. Oh, like laughable. Glar goes on this big rant at one stage, like to show Wee all his evidence about ghosts and how he saw his dad die. His dad when he just died when he was a little boy, and how he believes he was born to prove that ghosts were real. And then out of nowhere, like Wee is like, "Count me in." And Wee had been so against this the whole way, and then they shake hands weirdly, like it was almost like an anime movie, like that weird sort of slot motion sort of thing. Like this Wee guy could not have been any more disinterested, and then all of a sudden he's in. Just really poor. There were these drawn out shots of them investigating the hospital through the CCTV, showing like wheelchairs moving and a lift or an elevator closing, and chairs moving and drawers opening and closing. Just wasn't scary, just lame. Wee's mother dying, and then there's this ridiculous score in the background. The music was horrible, and then Wee, like in his voiceover, says, "I got blood and urine tests for imbalances in me after she died to see if I was depressed." Oh man. Wee and Glar, they have an argument over who should kill themselves for the experiment. It was so over the top, so poorly acted. They're like, "We both volunteer and we'll flip a coin to see who's going to do it." It was like this high tension. They're both dripping with sweat from their faces. It was again almost like that anime style, that over the top visual. There's a moment where he's got the trigger. He's the one that's going to do it. He can't pull the trigger. He sees his mum. She reveals what she'd said that he didn't hear. And then Glar just walks in and goes, "Cool, well, I'll shoot myself." And he does it. It was just so dramatic. While Wee's trying to get Glar to appear to him, he goes to Glar's mother's house, and she makes him a meal. And he's like, "Oh, it's so good. You should open a restaurant." And she's like, "That's exactly what Glar said." "Oh, of course it is. How convenient." Wee and Ma, they argue over who knew Glar the best. Like, "He's my boyfriend. I know him. I've been friends with him for so long." And then he awkwardly hugs her. That was bad. Glar's spirit gets angry over Wee not telling Ma the truth about how he died, and then he sort of goes crazy and makes the elevator stop for him on floor 13. Oh, so cringe. Wee drugs Ma, and this film goes in a different direction, pretty much assaults her. That was gross. And then after Wee crosses to the other side and talks to Glar, and he wakes up with his rotting corpse on him, and he like hugs it weirdly. That was also laughable. And then at the end, Glar at the Northern Lights in Mai's vision, just such poor CGI. So a few things that didn't work on this one for me. The themes, the ideas, doesn't do a really good job, but obsession, that idea of crossing the line for truth, keeping your word, but you can't take it too far, obviously. Like, yes, you make a promise to your best mate that you're going to keep going, but you've got to work out whether you're committing crimes along the way. Obviously, emotional pain and physical pain when sometimes you need to chase the truth, whether that's through a girlfriend or a friend or a mother or a sister. And that human connection too. We all strive for that human connection, and we can't necessarily get that from someone who's passed on. Obviously, science versus faith is a big thing. That idea of keep experimenting. Experiments are important, but also that idea of faith. And obviously, we do see that suicide's mentioned, and it's a sin in many religions. So that idea of faith and science crossing over, and you got to learn from your mistakes and move on at times as well. What did I take away from this film? I think there's this one thread where Glar suggests to Wee that they try and date a terminally ill cancer patient. She's dying, to get her to love them. So when she dies, she will reveal herself to them. I mean, it shut down by we pretty quickly, but just even the thought of suggesting that was so gross. Just so gross. Gross. Some other questions, some pondering, some thoughts, some ideas. Right at the start, there's this joke about, in the hospital, Gla's surname, which was Arjong, and it was being pronounced incorrectly over the PA at the hospital, and everyone is laughing about it. Any idea? Cultural translation? I don't get it. If you know, let me know in the comments of this episode. And the whole idea that if a ghost reveals themselves, they're under stress or worried or have a connection with the person that's feeling pain or whatever, which to me then, why it doesn't make sense why the ghost at the start revealed themselves to the boys at the vending machine. Like that's what sets them off on this journey and gets we to be a believer. Why does that happen? I'm pretty sure it was the burn victim from the start, that they have no connection to it. So what pain was he in? I'm not sure. It just didn't make sense. And then you got to think a little bit about the idea of the afterlife and believing in ghosts. And is this, like, I don't know, it's a tricky one. Like, is this a real thing that people go, like, obviously there's those ghost hunter TV shows on reality TV and things like that, but it's an interesting sort of concept, isn't it? And that idea, if ghosts did exist, but like these guys, they work out very quickly, they can't capture them on film or photo or anything like that. How do you prove the existence? And why do you need to prove the existence? Can't you just be happy enough especially if it's a good spirit, or like these guys are trying to find the spirits of their own family and things like that, then it's a positive thing that you don't need photo evidence? I'm not sure. Anyway, these are probably bigger questions than the film actually needs me to ask. So we do give the films a rating out of 5 on this show. For me, like they tried to be a little bit creative with a ghost story, I guess, but it just doesn't land because of possibly the cultural differences at times in filmmaking and almost that over-the-top soap opera, melodramatic style of the second half. The film just didn't know what it wanted to be. Like, if this was a study of how humans try and keep connected to those they lose and the afterlife, that may have been a film that could have been well connected with, but it's just all over the shop. This is a 1.5 out of me. Pretty poor rating from me. We're on socials. We have Instagram, we have Facebook, and we have X, formerly known as Twitter. This just ties in with the film. The question I wanted to put out for today's episode is what happens after we die? What does happen? I'm intrigued. I think, hopefully you just rest. You can just rest after a big, long life, and you're able to just relax and be happy. That's what I'd hope happens after we die. Other than that, we are back next week. We have another film from 2021 next week, which is a drama called Blue Miracle. This one's directed by Julio Quintana and stars Dennis Quaid, Jimmy Gonzalez, Dana Wheeler-Nicholson, Fernanda Ulloa, Bruce McGill, and Miguel Angel Garcia. So Spanish cast, it looks like, this one. I'm interested. Let's give that one a watch over this week, and hopefully you can join me next week to check that one out. Hopefully if you've listened to me now and maybe I've convinced you not to watch Ghost Lab or waste your time on that. Again, I didn't even touch on it. The runtime was ridiculously long. Other than that, I will be back. I'm sorry, I've kept going. Other than that, I'll be back next week for Blue Miracle. Hopefully I will see you then.